You know what's terrifying? Most people will live their entire lives never really succeeding. They'll work hard, they'll try to do the right thing, they'll sacrifice their dreams for security, and still, they'll end up stuck, frustrated, secretly wondering if life cheated them. And here's the harsh truth nobody dares to say out loud. It's not because the world is unfair, it's not because they were unlucky, and it's not even because they weren't smart enough. It's because most people are trapped in invisible chains they don't even know exist. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow, I'll take that risk later. I just need things to calm down first." But tomorrow never comes, later turns into never, and calm is just another word for stuck. Meanwhile, years slip away, dreams fade. You wake up one day and realize you're playing a game you never signed up for, following rules written by someone else, and losing. That's why in this video, I'm going to break open the brutal truth about why most people never succeed. Not the sugar-coated motivational quotes you've heard 1,000 times. Not the fake promises of overnight success, but the real reasons, the hidden traps, the lies you've been told, and the mindset that keeps millions of people locked in mediocrity. And by the end of this, if you stay with me, you'll see exactly why the majority never make it, and what you must do differently if you refuse to end up like them. So if you've ever felt that knowing frustration, if you've ever wondered, why do I work so hard and still feel stuck? Stay right here. This video might just be the wake-up call you need. And before we dive in, let me say this. If you're serious about breaking out of mediocrity, hit subscribe right now, because I'm building a community of people who refuse to settle for an average life. Together, we're rewriting the rules of success now. Let's begin. Most people think failure comes from laziness, that if someone never makes it, it's because they didn't work hard enough. But let me tell you something that might shock you. The graveyard of dreams is not filled with lazy people. It's filled with hardworking, responsible, good people who did everything they were told, and still lost. And if you don't understand why, you'll become one of them. Let's break this down. The first reason most people never succeed is because they are trapped inside a system of beliefs they never chose. Think about how life works for the majority. From childhood, you're told to sit down, be quiet, follow the rules, do your homework, get good grades, go to college, find a safe job, work for 40 years, retire, and hope you have enough money left to enjoy the scraps of life before it's over. That's the script written for you. But here's the kicker. That script wasn't written with your success in mind. It was written to keep you predictable, obedient, and replaceable. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable people get when someone dares to step outside that script? If you say you want to start your own business, people warn you, that's risky. Don't do it. If you invest in yourself, they tell you, be careful, you might lose money. If you chase a dream, they whisper, what if you fail? And slowly, without realizing it, you shrink. You learn to silence your ambition just to fit in. You trade possibility for safety. And little by little, you become just like everyone else, stuck. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man I knew, brilliant, creative, always coming up with new ideas. In high school, he dreamed of building his own company, something that would change lives. But his parents and teachers told him, that's not realistic. Focus on something stable. So he went to college, got a safe degree, landed a job that paid the bills. Years later, I met him again. He had a nice car, a decent apartment, a steady paycheck, but his eyes were empty. You know what he told me? I feel like I've been running on a treadmill for years. I'm exhausted, but I'm not moving anywhere. That's the system at work. That's the invisible trap. And here's the question I want to throw directly at you. Whose script are you living? Did you choose your path, or are you just following orders handed down by society, parents, or a boss who doesn't care if you burn out? Because until you confront this, you'll never be free. But let's go deeper. Success requires a level of courage most people never tap into. Not because they can't, but because they're taught to fear it. Think about the word risk. The moment we hear it, we tense up. We imagine danger, loss, humiliation. But what if I told you that risk is an illusion? That staying in a so-called safe job is often more dangerous than starting your own project. Because here's the truth. The job can disappear tomorrow. The company can lay you off. The government can change the rules. And if all you have is one fragile source of income, that's not safety. That's a trap. Yet millions of people will cling to that fragile safety until the day they die. Why? Because the system has conditioned them to fear failure more than they desire success. They've been taught that it's better to never try than to try and fall. That one embarrassing mistake will ruin them forever. But here's the harsh truth. The only true failure is never daring at all. Let me ask you, what would you attempt right now if you knew you couldn't fail? What dream have you been hiding because you're afraid of looking stupid or disappointing someone? And more importantly, how much longer are you willing to live with that fear? Because time is not waiting for you. Here's the practical part. If you want to break free from this trap, you need to start by rewiring your perspective on risk. Take small, controlled experiments. Launch a side project. Test an idea. Make a tiny investment in yourself. You don't need to burn the bridge overnight, but you do need to step off the treadmill. Success doesn't come from giant leaps, it comes from consistent, deliberate experiments that teach you more about yourself and the world. And don't underestimate the power of your environment. If everyone around you lives by the safe script, guess what? You'll feel insane for breaking out. That's why you need to actively seek out people who think bigger. Mentors, communities, voices that challenge the rules you've been told. It's no accident that most successful people spend time with others who refuse to settle. The energy rubs off, the mindset spreads, and suddenly, what once seemed impossible starts to feel like the only logical choice. Now, I'm going to say something you might not want to hear. If you're waiting for the perfect time to start, you're already losing. There is no perfect time. There's no magical moment where fear disappears and conditions are ideal. The people who succeed are the ones who start before they feel ready. They make mistakes, they learn, they adapt. Meanwhile, everyone else is still waiting for someday, and someday never comes. Let me circle back with a little humor, because I know this is heavy. If you're sitting there thinking, but I don't want to risk failing, well, let me remind you, you're already failing if you're not moving forward. It's like being on a sinking ship and saying, I don't want to jump into the lifeboat, I might get wet. Guess what? You're going down either way. So here's my challenge to you. After this video, do one thing that breaks the script. One thing that feels uncomfortable. It doesn't matter how small. Maybe it's making that call you've been avoiding. Maybe it's starting that project you keep postponing. Maybe it's simply writing down a dream you've been too scared to admit to yourself. Just one action. Because action, no matter how tiny, is the antidote to the trap. And let me say this. If this is already hitting you hard, if you're realizing how much of your life has been dictated by invisible rules, then hit that subscribe button right now. Not because it helps me, but because it's your declaration that you refuse to keep sleepwalking through life, that you're joining a movement of people who are done being average. Remember this, the majority will always choose comfort over courage. That's why the majority never succeed. The question is, which side will you choose? If the first trap was living by someone else's script, the second, and maybe even deadlier, trap is this. Most people never succeed because they are addicted to comfort. And I don't mean the obvious comforts like soft beds or warm showers. I mean the invisible comfort zone that slowly kills ambition while making you think you're fine. Let me explain. Comfort is seductive. Comfort whispers, you're okay where you are. Why push harder? Why risk anything when life isn't so bad? And little by little, you start lowering your standards. That dream of financial freedom. Maybe later, that body you wanted to build. I'll start next month. That business idea. One day, when I have more time. And before you know it, 5 years are gone. 10 years are gone. And all you've done is maintain a life that is comfortable. Not amazing. Not inspiring. Just comfortable. And here's the harsh truth. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. No one who ever changed the world, built real wealth, or achieved mastery in anything did it by staying comfortable. Success is forged in discomfort. It's built in those moments when you do what others won't. But because discomfort feels like pain, most people run from it. And in doing so, they run straight into mediocrity. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a man named Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who wrote one of the most profound books on human existence. He survived years in Nazi concentration camps, stripped of everything: family, freedom, dignity. He lived through the most unimaginable discomfort, and yet, he discovered something powerful. Even in the worst suffering, humans can find meaning. He realized that life isn't about avoiding pain, but about finding purpose strong enough to endure it. Now, Compare that to our modern lives. We get irritated when the Wi-Fi lags for 3 seconds. We feel stressed if our coffee order takes too long. We panic if someone doesn't like our post. Do you see the absurdity? We've become so comfortable that even the tiniest inconvenience feels unbearable. And that's why so many never succeed. They've lost their tolerance for real struggle. Let me ask you a question that might sting. When was the last time you willingly put yourself in a position that scared you? When was the last time you chose discomfort instead of avoiding it? If you can remember, that's a sign. Because discomfort isn't something to escape. It's the ticket to growth. Think of the gym. Everyone wants a strong body, but muscles don't grow without resistance. You don't get stronger by lifting something light and easy. You grow by struggling with something heavy. Life works the same way. Your muscles of discipline, focus, courage, and resilience only grow when you face resistance. But here's the sad part. Most people never push. They settle for the mental equivalent of lifting a pencil and wonder why they never transform. Here's another practical truth. Your brain is wired to seek comfort because comfort feels safe. It's biology. Thousands of years ago, survival meant conserving energy, avoiding risk, staying safe from predators. That instinct hasn't left us. The problem is, in the modern world, survival is not the goal. Growth is. And the same instinct that once kept us alive is now keeping us average. But here's the opportunity. You can rewire your brain. You can train yourself to associate discomfort with progress instead of pain. How? Start with small doses. Take cold showers. Wake up earlier than feels natural. Say yes to something you'd normally avoid. Work 1 extra hour on your dream project when your body screams to rest. These micro moments of discomfort build mental armor. And that armor is exactly what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. Let me hit you with another story. Years ago, I met an entrepreneur who had built a multi-million-dollar business. I asked him, "What's the hardest part about success?" You know what he said? Training yourself to love things other people hate. Everyone wants the glory, but no one wants the grind. If you can learn to enjoy the grind, you win by default. That line burned into me. Enjoy the grind. Because once you see discomfort as proof that you're moving forward, it stops being an enemy and becomes a friend. So here's a practical challenge. Tonight, write down 3 things you've been avoiding because they're uncomfortable. Maybe it's a difficult conversation. Maybe it's taking the first step on that business idea. Maybe it's finally fixing your health. Write them down, and tomorrow, do one of them. Not all, just one. And then repeat the process. Slowly, you'll train yourself to run toward discomfort instead of away from it. Let me give you another perspective, because this one matters. Success isn't just about achieving goals. It's about who you become in the process, and becoming someone stronger, wiser, more resilient requires the fire of discomfort. Think of a diamond. A diamond is just hardened until it's put under immense pressure. Without pressure, it remains worthless. With pressure, it becomes priceless. Which are you willing to be? And don't tell me you can't handle it. People love to say, "I'm just not cut out for that." That's a lie. You are cut out for more than you think. You've just been conditioned to avoid it. If human beings can survive war, famine, prisons, and unimaginable suffering, you can handle making a phone call that scares you. You can handle working on your dream for an extra hour. You can handle being uncomfortable long enough to change your life. Let me drop some humor in, because I know this is intense. Imagine explaining your problems to your great-grandparents. "Yeah, I'm really stressed out. My video didn't get enough likes today." They'd probably laugh in your face. Or imagine telling a gladiator in ancient Rome, "I just can't push myself today. I'm too tired." He'd probably hand you a sword and say, "Good luck in the arena." The point is, your struggles are real, but they're not as unbearable as your mind makes them seem. You are stronger than you think. Now, let me pull you back in. Most people will never succeed because the moment life gets uncomfortable, they quit. They quit the diet. They quit the business idea. They quit the relationship. And every time they quit, they reinforce the habit of weakness. And weakness, compounded over years, equals mediocrity. So here's my call to you. Don't quit. When it gets uncomfortable, smile. Tell yourself, "This is where I grow." When your body says, "Stop," push just a little longer. When your mind screams, "I can't," whisper back, "Watch me." That tiny shift separates winners from losers. And yes, this is the part where I remind you, if this resonates, hit that like button. Drop a comment, and subscribe. Because this isn't just a video, it's training. Every time you watch and apply something, you're breaking the chains of comfort, you're building resilience, and you're getting closer to the life most people will never taste. Remember this: comfort kills dreams. Discomfort forges legends. Which one will you choose? If the first trap is living by someone else's script, and the second is being addicted to comfort, then the third, and perhaps the most devastating, is this: most people never succeed because they never master themselves. Think about it. We live in a world overflowing with opportunity, more opportunity than at any point in human history. You can build a business from your laptop. You can learn anything for free on the internet. You can connect with mentors, communities, customers, all without leaving your home. And yet, despite this, the majority remain stuck. Why? Because they are at war with themselves. Let's strip this down. Success requires focus, discipline, consistency. But most people are slaves to distraction, emotion, and impulse. They wake up with good intentions. Today, I'll make progress. And by night, all they've done is scroll, binge, procrastinate, repeat. They aren't defeated by the outside world. They're defeated by the enemy within. Let me ask you directly, how many dreams have you killed with your own excuses? How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow," knowing deep down you won't? How many times have you let fear, doubt, or laziness decide your future for you? Because here's the harsh truth: if you can't master yourself, you'll never master anything else. There's a saying I once heard that hit me like a punch in the gut. You are not running out of time. You are running out of discipline. And it's true. Time is not the enemy. The problem is what you do with it. And most people, they waste it. They leak their energy into meaningless habits and wonder why they never succeed. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine two versions of the same person. In one version, they wake up, immediately grab their phone, scroll for 45 minutes, rush through the morning, skip exercise, go to work tired, spend the day reacting instead of creating, come home exhausted, watch TV, go to bed late, and repeat. In the other version, that same person wakes up, sets intention, moves their body, dedicates an hour to learning or building something, focuses deeply on meaningful work, and ends the day tired but satisfied. Same 24 hours. Same person. Two completely different futures. Which one are you living? Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. But discipline is hard. Focus is hard. Exactly. That's why most people never succeed. But here's the secret. Discipline is like a muscle. You don't start by lifting 200 pounds. You start small. You build consistency. And over time, what once felt impossible becomes normal. Here's a practical way to start mastering yourself. Build non-negotiables. These are small daily actions you commit to no matter what. Maybe it's reading for 20 minutes. Maybe it's writing one page. Maybe it's doing 20 push-ups. The action doesn't matter as much as the principle. When you keep promises to yourself, you build identity. And identity is everything. Because once you see yourself as someone disciplined, you'll act disciplined automatically. I'll tell you a story that still inspires me. Years ago, I read about a writer who committed to writing just one sentence every day. One sentence. It sounded ridiculous, but here's what happened. Most days, after writing one sentence, he ended up writing a full page. Some days, even a chapter. And over time, those sentences turned into published books. The key wasn't the sentence. The key was the identity. I'm a writer. I show up every day. Imagine what would happen if you applied that principle to your dream. And here's another harsh truth. Most people fail because they chase motivation instead of building discipline. They wait to feel ready. They watch motivational videos, get hyped for a day, and then crash. But motivation is a spark, not fuel. If you rely on it, you'll burn out. Discipline, on the other hand, is fuel. It carries you forward long after motivation fades. So stop asking, "How do I feel?" and start asking, "What must I do?" Let me drop a reality check. Success is boring. You heard me right. Success isn't some constant adrenaline rush. It's not glamorous. It's not always exciting. It's repetition. It's waking up and doing the work again and again, long after the novelty is gone. That's why so few make it. They can't handle the boredom of consistency. But if you can learn to love the process, then you'll win where most quit. Now, I want to challenge you again. For the next 30 days, pick one habit that moves you closer to your dream. Just one. And commit to it daily. Track it. Don't break the chain. Watch what happens. Because in 30 days, you'll not only have progress, you'll have proof that you can control yourself. And once you realize that, everything changes. But let's not sugarcoat it. Mastering yourself isn't easy. You'll face resistance. You'll face days when you don't want to move, when every fiber of your being screams, take it easy. And this is the fork in the road. Do you listen, or do you push through? Winners push. Losers listen. That's the difference. Let me give you another perspective. Imagine a general leading an army. If the general can't control the soldiers, the army is doomed. Now, think of yourself as both the general and the army. If you can't control your impulses, your habits, your mind, you lose the battle before it even starts. But if you can take command, if you can lead yourself with discipline, then no external enemy stands a chance. And yes, let's add a little humor, because I know this is heavy. Have you ever argued with yourself in the mirror, like, I should go to the gym? No. I'll go tomorrow. No. I really should go today. But my favorite show is on. You're literally debating with yourself like two different people. Isn't that insane? And yet, that's the daily reality for millions. Success begins when you stop negotiating with yourself. So here's my final word on this subtopic. The world will test you. Circumstances will challenge you. People will doubt you. But the greatest battle you'll ever fight is with yourself. Most people lose that battle. That's why most people never succeed. But you. If you choose discipline over comfort, focus over distraction, persistence over excuses, you can win. And once you win within, nothing outside can stop you. And before we move into the final part of this video, let me say this. If this is hitting home for you, if you're realizing how much of your life has been controlled by comfort, distraction, and self-sabotage, then now is the moment to act. Hit that subscribe button, drop a comment saying, I refuse to lose to myself, and let's keep building this movement together. Remember, the majority will always fail, not because the world is too hard, but because they never mastered themselves. Don't let that be your story. So here we are. You've heard the harsh truth. Most people never succeed. Not because they're not smart, not because they don't try, but because they follow someone else's script, they cling to comfort, and they never learn to master themselves. And maybe as you listened, you felt it hit close to home. Maybe you saw your own patterns, waiting for the right time, hiding from discomfort, letting distractions steal your days. If you did, that's not a reason to feel ashamed. That's a reason to feel alive. Because awareness is the first step. Awareness means you can change. Most people will hear words like this, nod their heads, and then forget them by tomorrow. They'll go back to scrolling, waiting, delaying, until years disappear. But if you're still here, it's because something inside you refuses to accept that fate. Something inside you wants more. And that's your chance. So here's my challenge. Do not let this be just another video. Take one action today. One uncomfortable step. One decision that breaks the cycle. Because the future, it isn't written yet. And whether you end up as one of the many who never succeed, or one of the few who do, depends on what you do right now. If you're serious about this journey, if you want to keep breaking free from the lies, the comfort, the self-sabotage, then subscribe right now. Join this community. Because here, we don't settle. Here, we don't wait. Here, we rise. Remember this, most people never succeed. But you are not most people.